The famous actress Mia Collins sent me a text late one night. Because I went to bed early, I didn't see it. An hour later, she followed up, and with that one post, the entire internet blew up. The next morning, I stared at the trending topics on Twitter and was completely speechless. I had just woken up and opened my phone, and my world turned upside down. Still groggy, I saw over a dozen missed calls from my agent, Alex. I shot straight up in bed, my heart pounding as I frantically tried to remember what I could have possibly done. I racked my brain, but came up with nothing that would warrant this many frantic calls. Before calling him back, I quickly checked Twitter's trending topics. Nothing about me, but Mia Collins was all over it. That's when it hit me that I had a bunch of unread iMessages from her. I switched over to iMessage, opened our chat, and my jaw hit the floor. Yesterday at 10:10 p.m., she had sent, "I like you. Will you be my boyfriend?" Having gone to bed unusually early, I had missed it completely. An hour later, she sent a flurry of texts. Every single word, packed tightly together, was a testament to her shredded pride. And because I decided to get a good night's sleep, I had successfully missed the entire drama. A heartbroken Mia, intending to vent her misery on her private Twitter account, was so upset that she accidentally posted it to her public one, successfully launching herself to the top of the trending list. The replies on Twitter were brutal, and you can probably guess why I wasn't laughing. The sheer creativity of these comments was both impressive and terrifying. Thankfully, Mia's contact name for me was just a heart emoji, so while everyone knew she'd been rejected, no one knew it was me. No one except my agent, Alex, of course. My profile picture was a landscape photo I'd taken myself, and he recognized it instantly. He breathed a sigh of relief over the phone once he confirmed my profile picture wasn't public anywhere. He might have been relieved, but I certainly wasn't. Mia had sent this barrage of messages, and I had absolutely no idea how to respond. I thought about it for a long time and decided to try and explain, only to be met with a bright red exclamation point. All right, fine. So that's how we're playing it. Mia even posted a follow-up tweet. I deleted his number. Now he can never hurt me again. Seriously, how did she manage to create this entire narrative in her head? The only people more stressed out than Mia right now were probably her management. I could just imagine Alex letting out a high-pitched shriek if I had ever pulled a stunt like this. The topic trended all day, finally starting to die down by the evening. Just as I was about to relax, an up-and-coming young actor named Ethan James, who had worked with Mia before, posted a tweet. There was no caption, just a landscape photo that, at a glance, looked almost identical to my profile picture. People immediately started speculating that he was the guy who had rejected Mia. Her fans saw it and went on the attack. The whole platform was a war zone. Ethan must have seen how badly it was going because he quickly deleted the tweet. And me, the actual main character, just sat back and watched the drama unfold with my popcorn. As the firestorm grew, Mia's team paid a hefty sum to get the topic removed from the trending list to stop things from escalating. At this point, the story should have died down in a few days. The only problem was I was scheduled to appear on a talk show with Mia the very next day. My heart, which had been in my throat, finally dropped into my stomach. The entire ride over, Alex kept drilling it into my head to stay away from Mia, to not even make eye contact. So, of course, the second I opened the car door, I was face to face with Mia herself, wearing sunglasses and looking thoroughly miserable. I couldn't see her eyes behind the dark lenses, but I could feel her mood sink even lower when she saw me. She quickly looked away and tried to hurry inside, but she was immediately swarmed by fans. I tried to keep my distance and follow from behind, but the crowd pushed me right up next to her. I had no choice but to smile and say hello. Mia, long time no see. Once we finally made it into the studio, Mia practically sprinted away as if she'd seen a ghost and was terrified I'd follow. Watching her flee, Alex sighed. You know, for someone who looks like she'd be a pro at dating, Mia Collins is surprisingly lovesick. Looks like she'd be a pro at dating. That was a strange way to describe someone. He turned back to me. I'm curious, though. Why'd you turn her down? If you don't mind me asking. Before the show started, I was coming out of the restroom when I heard a familiar voice nearby. I got closer and saw it was Mia talking with her agent. For the love of God, Mia, are you really going to wear sunglasses on stage? You know people will immediately call you a diva, right? Haven't you had enough of being a trending topic? Well, she could probably take the sunglasses off now because I had just heard every single word. An image of Mia, late at night with red, puffy eyes, crying over our iMessage history, flashed through my mind. I had to admit, it was a lot more captivating than her usual cool, untouchable persona. In the end, Mia didn't wear the sunglasses on stage, opting for some heavy concealer instead. But because I knew what to look for, I could still see the slight puffiness around her eyes. Once the show started, she deliberately avoided my gaze. The few times our eyes did meet by accident, she would panic and look away, which only made things more obvious. The premise of the show was for celebrity guests to discuss and debate viral stories and text message exchanges about relationships. It was known for its bold topics and always got high ratings. I knew they were provocative, but I never imagined they'd start the show by putting the screenshot of Mia's confession right up on the big screen, with the profile pictures laughably pixelated. All the guests just looked at each other, no one daring to say a word. The host, clearly expecting this, turned directly to the source. "Well, let's ask the person at the center of it all. What do you think the guy in this chat was thinking?" This was unbelievable. How did I suddenly become the subject of everyone's speculation? Mia glanced mournfully at the screen, forcing herself not to look at me, and said quietly, "What is there to think? He just doesn't like me." Why did she look like she'd had her heart completely shattered by some jerk? With Mia having spoken, the other guests started chiming in. But for every opinion they offered, Mia had a rebuttal. The more I listened, the more I wanted to sink into my chair, and the rest of the panel was just speechless. Meanwhile, the live comments were going wild. After going around the panel, the host finally turned to me. I glanced instinctively at Mia. She looked nervous. I spoke slowly. "Has anyone considered the possibility that he was just asleep and didn't see the message?" The studio erupted. No one in the audience or the live chat believed it. Only Mia slowly lifted her head and looked at me, a hint of hope in her voice. "Is that really possible?" Seeing Mia's reaction, the live chat was filled with exasperation. The host glanced at the comments, saw that last one, and got an idea. "All right, how about this? Why don't you try adding him back right now, Mia, and see if he responds?" Mia refused without even thinking about it. "He's probably busy right now. He wouldn't see it." Mia was quiet for a moment before saying dejectedly, "I don't have his number. I had to pull a lot of strings just to get his iMessage contact." The host didn't push any further, his expression softening with sympathy. For the rest of the taping, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. After the show, I was packing up to leave when I saw Mia standing by the door, looking like she was waiting for me. When she saw me, she bit her lip and asked in a quiet, raspy voice, "What you said about him being asleep, was that true?" I watched her trip over her words, trying to backtrack, and couldn't help but find it a little amusing. "Are you sure it's fine?" The moment she lowered her head, I could tell she was about to cry. No wonder people always said her crying scenes on screen had such a raw, broken quality. I was seeing it firsthand. Mia's head snapped up, her eyes shining with surprise and relief. Before she could say anything, her agent swooped in and started pulling her away, scolding her under her breath. "Mia, I swear, we're not even off the set for 2 minutes, and you're already running over here. Did you want him to reject you to your face before you'd finally give up?" Mia started to resist, but she gave up when she saw Alex coming to pull me away too. Her agent kept talking, but Mia didn't hear a word of it. All she could think was, asterisk, he's not cruel, he was just asleep. I knew he wouldn't just ignore me like that. I was just being too sensitive. Asterisk, then her thoughts turned gloomy again. Asterisk, I can't believe I deleted his number. Now I'll have to go through all that trouble to get it again. I really don't know how to hold on to a good thing. Asterisk, I overheard that last part and couldn't help but smile a little. Alex saw it and frowned. "Didn't I tell you to keep your distance from her?" Alex lectured me all the way back to the car. For a second, I felt like Mia and I were some kind of modern-day Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers being kept apart. The moment I had that thought, I mentally slapped myself. I'd spent way too much time reading fan theories online. Now I was starting to apply them to my own life. Because of what Mia had said, I spent the next few days wondering how she was going to try and get my number again. But days went by with no word from her. Just as I was starting to forget about the whole thing, Alex called me about a new script. He was practically buzzing with excitement on the phone. "This script is perfect. It's about a girl who has a crush on a guy, confesses her feelings, then gets scared and starts avoiding him. But because of that, the guy starts to notice her and eventually falls for her too. The more he talked, the more I had a strange feeling. Who's the female lead?" I asked. What surprised me more was Alex's attitude. "I thought you told me to stay away from Mia." Shortly after I signed a contract, the studio's official Twitter announced the cast. To my surprise, the supporting male lead was none other than Ethan James. The day before filming began, the director arranged a dinner for the main cast. By the time I got to the private room, the only empty seat was the one right next to Mia. She glanced at me, then nervously picked up her glass and took a sip of water. After a moment's hesitation, I went and sat down beside her. As I sat down, the director joked, "Our two leads together, that's a power couple right there." I hadn't worked with most of the people here before, but I could feel someone's eyes on me. I looked up and saw Ethan James quickly avert his gaze. He didn't look like someone who'd been caught staring, but more like a fan who was flustered after seeing their idol. I realized he probably wasn't looking at me, but at Mia. The director went on and on, painting a picture of what a huge success the show would be. I couldn't get a word in, so I just focused on eating. On a table this large, it was strange that every time the Lazy Susan spun around, my favorite dishes always seemed to land right in front of me. I glanced over at Mia and saw her quickly pull her hand back from the turntable, trying to look casual. I just smiled and didn't say anything. As the dinner wound down, Mia started to look more and more nervous, like she was waiting for something to happen. I watched her out of the corner of my eye and saw her shoot a meaningful look at the director. He seemed confused at first. Then he glanced at me, and a look of understanding dawned on his face. "All right, everyone," he announced, "since we're all going to be one big family on this set, let's make sure we all exchange numbers." Mia sat up ramrod straight, looking even more tense, and silently pulled out her phone. She placed it on the table near me, so close she might as well have just put it in my pocket. So that was her plan. After all this time, she was too scared to ask me directly, so she orchestrated this whole thing. I had to admit, it was actually kind of cute. I smiled and took out my own phone, fiddling with it but not saying a word to Mia. After a few minutes, she clearly couldn't stand it anymore and was about to speak when Ethan James walked over. I leaned back to give them some space to talk, but Ethan stopped right in front of me. He held out his phone cautiously and asked, "Mr. Anderson, could I get your number?" This was not how I expected this to go. I looked up, surprised, and blurted out, "Aren't you here to get Mia's number?" A solo fan who became a shipper? He was a fan of me? Still in a state of shock, I took out my phone and let him scan my contact info. He walked away looking thrilled, leaving me stunned and Mia looking incredibly jealous. She stared at my phone, finally working up the courage to ask, "Can I add you back?" Mia's expression immediately turned serious. "Of course it was true," she said earnestly. I tried to calm my racing heart as I opened my phone and held it out to her. She looked up at me, and I smiled. "Just don't delete it this time, okay?" I opened my mouth to say something, but then closed it. It was a good thing I was a decent person. Someone as trusting as Mia would be so easy to take advantage of. After dinner, Alex came to pick me up. While I was waiting out front, Ethan ran over, practically vibrating with excitement, and completely blindsided me. As someone who enjoys a good ship myself, I could understand his excitement. But this was about me. When I didn't say anything, Ethan continued, "If I'm guessing correctly, you're the one Mia confessed to, aren't you?" Listening to Ethan explain it, I felt a strange sense of pride. You know, I originally meant to post that look-alike photo on my private account. Ethan admitted with an embarrassed laugh. "I just messed up and posted it to my main by accident." The cool night air on my face brought me back to reality a little, but my head was still spinning. In the end, I did get the handle for Mia's private account from him. I don't have many hobbies, but I do love a bit of drama, especially when it's about me. Mia's most recent tweet was from right before she'd texted me, "Going to confess. If it works, I'm a winner. If it fails, I'm a loser." I scrolled through her feed, and every single post was about me. She commented on every movie I was in, every show I appeared on. Her very first tweet on the account was from the day she got my number. It read, "Is our story about to begin?" If someone had told me a month ago that this was Mia Collins' secret account, I would have thought they were insane. In the span of a few weeks, my image of her as a sophisticated, elegant actress had been completely shattered. I quickly closed the app, went to Mia's public Twitter, looked at a few of her professional photos to reset my brain, and then went to sleep feeling much more settled. I woke up the next morning to the same old story. Another dozen missed calls from Alex. I assumed Mia had done something again, but when I opened Twitter, my blood ran cold. Sometime last night, I had accidentally liked one of Mia's tweets. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that it was a photo showing off her abs. The comments were already pouring in. I appreciated everyone defending, but they were all making me sound like a creep. That wasn't even my biggest concern. If Mia saw this trending topic, I would die of embarrassment. We had just reconnected yesterday. Was it too late to delete her number again? I spent a long time on the phone with Alex. I wanted to just say it was an accident, but that excuse felt too lame. In the end, I decided to lean into it and posted a tweet. And the moral of the story is, always use your alt account when you're admiring from afar. I composed myself and went to the first day of filming with a sense of grim resignation. The second Mia saw me, she couldn't stop herself from smiling, her cheeks turning a little pink. I turned away to avoid her gaze, only to lock eyes with Ethan, who was standing nearby with a massive grin on his face. I couldn't take another day on this set. And of course, as fate would have it, the very first scene we were scheduled to film was the one where my character sees her character's abs. Life has a twisted sense of humor. Before we started, I overheard the director talking to his assistant. "Mia is in great shape. You can tell she works out." Right on cue, Mia walked out of her dressing room. Her shirt was haphazardly buttoned, and a few drops of water from her damp hair traced a path down her collarbone. Her toned stomach was partially visible beneath the fabric. I only glanced for a second, but I could already feel my face getting hot. I kept repeating the mantra, "I'm a professional actor," in my head. During the rehearsal, both Mia and I were off our game, barely able to look at each other. The director didn't seem annoyed, though. He just smiled and said, "Ah, to be young." When the cameras started rolling, Mia's entire demeanor shifted. The nervousness was gone, replaced by the confident, alluring energy of her character. I pushed my real feelings aside and got into character too. She reached out, pulled me into an embrace, and delivered her flirty lines perfectly, though I noticed the tips of her ears were bright red. Who could possibly resist that kind of adorable contrast? I certainly couldn't. The director yelled, "Cut," looking extremely pleased. We'd gotten it in one take. The moment he did, Mia's body, which had been relaxed in character, tensed up again. She let go of me and quickly fastened the rest of her buttons. During a break, I was sitting in my chair going over the script. Mia paced nearby for a while before finally sitting down next to me. She hesitated for another long moment before asking, "That like on my picture yesterday, was it an accident?" I didn't stop flipping through my script as I answered casually, "It wasn't an accident." My blunt answer left her stunned for a few seconds. I closed my script and looked at her dazed expression. "I like the photo," I said, "and I like the body in the photo." For the past few days, whenever Ethan wasn't in a scene, he'd come to our set, claiming he was learning from the veterans. In reality, he was just using his job as an excuse to watch us and fuel his ship. Mia was speechless for a moment, not knowing what to say. "So, what do you think?" After I said that, Mia really started to act. She even started following a bunch of dating advice accounts on her private Twitter and diligently applied their lessons to her pursuit of me. I mostly just kept quiet about it. I mean, I seriously doubt any dating guru would advise giving someone a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle of a historical painting as a romantic gesture. She was learning all the wrong lessons. A few days later was the end-of-year award ceremony. Since Mia and I both had projects out, we walked the red carpet separately. Inside, we were seated several people apart, with no chance to talk. But when I went up on stage to accept an award, I could feel her eyes on me the entire time. I was terrified of the fans online who analyzed everything like a crime scene, so I made a point not to look in her direction. After the show, I was in the clear, but Mia was trending on Twitter again. Someone had spotted a photo of her taking a picture with her phone, and they figured out it was taken at the exact moment I was on stage. Since I was accepting the award with 4 other actors, the internet detectives went to work. I found the clip, and sure enough, you could clearly see her mouth the words. These online fans missed nothing. Before I could even finish reading the comments, I got a voice message from Ethan. "Dude, I know who she was taking a picture of. It was you. This is killing me, having all this inside info. And she said you were handsome. Oh my God, I shipped this so hard. Were you two going to make it official?" The internet sleuths debated for days, but could never definitively prove who it was. So eventually the topic faded away. After the award show, we filmed for another 2 months, and soon it was time for the final scene, the wedding. She stepped out of the dressing room in her wedding gown while I was adjusting my tie. The moment I saw her, my hands froze. I was completely stunned. I stared for so long that the director finally walked over and clapped me on the shoulder. "If you look like that now, what are you going to do on your actual wedding day? Come on, man. The show's almost over. How have you not sealed the deal yet?" When we started filming the scene, the most excited person on set, besides Mia, was Ethan. I have no idea where he got one of those giant professional cameras that superfans use, but he was taking picture after picture of us. "If I ever become a producer," he said between shots, "I'm going to fund a movie where you two just act out all my favorite romantic tropes." I was a little nervous during our first take of the wedding, and the director had to call cut a few times before I got into the zone. Then Mia started reciting her vows, and I realized something was wrong. The words weren't what was in the script. She wasn't acting. It sounded like she was speaking from the heart. As I listened, my eyes started to burn, and before I knew what I was doing, I stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. It wasn't until later that night that I checked the script and realized my hug wasn't in there either. Damn it, I'd been completely captivated. The director hadn't called cut. In fact, he loved our improvisation. I looked over at him and Ethan, who both had the exact same sappy, satisfied smile on their faces, and sighed. This entire production was just one big shipping fan club. At the wrap party, I had a few drinks. I wasn't drunk, but I was feeling a little buzzed. I was planning on using the liquid courage to finally have a real talk with Mia, but to my surprise, she had drunk way more than I had. She was so drunk she couldn't even recognize people. When the party ended, I had no choice but to call her agent to come get her. But in the minute it took me to make the call, she vanished. I started to panic, And after searching everywhere, I finally found her outside, holding onto a stranger's dog and having a very serious conversation with. "Is that you?" she slurred at the dog. "Are you that head shipper? What kind of fan are you? Getting in the way of my love life." I walked over and gently pulled Mia away, freeing the dog. It took off like a shot, but not before letting out 2 sharp barks in her direction. I don't speak dog, but I'm pretty sure it was swearing at her. I helped Mia to her feet, and she stared at me with wide, uncomprehending eyes. "Oh my God," she gasped. "The dog can walk on 2 legs?" I took a deep breath, deciding not to argue with her, and helped her sit down on the curb. I sent another text to her agent. If he didn't get here soon, I couldn't be held responsible for what animal she might think I was next. Mia threw her arms around me, clearly still thinking I was the dog. "Oh, doggy," she said, her voice thick with tears. "What do I have to do to make him like me?" She shoved me away, her face a mask of terror. Am I hallucinating? The dog can talk. She was completely gone. There was no helping her now. After a few more minutes of this, her mood shifted again. Her face fell. "Does Mike like dogs?" she asked sadly. "Now that I'm a dog, will he still like me? That Mike really has some kind of power over me," she mumbled. "I think about him all day." After that, she quieted down, just sitting obediently on the curb under the streetlight. I leaned my head against her shoulder. The next morning, Mia was sober, but had a complete memory blackout of the previous night. She asked me cautiously what had happened, and I told her the truth. "Nothing much. You just treated me like one of your buddies." She was so flustered that she immediately FaceTimed me. The moment I picked up, she launched into a frantic explanation, telling me not to believe anything she said when she was drunk. When I didn't react, she started to panic. "I was actually going to confess to you last night, for real this time, but I drank too much and completely ruined it." After she finished, I finally spoke. "Mia," I said slowly, "technically, yesterday should have been our first day as a couple." Mia swallowed nervously. "So, what about now?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. After we got together, Mia was so happy she wanted to tell the whole world. And as it turned out, so did Ethan. He called our relationship the Mount Everest of his shipping career. So every day, Mia would look at me with a goofy grin, and Ethan would look at the two of us with an even goofier grin. And then, inevitably, the internet figured it out. The way it happened was ridiculous. Ethan got a copy of that photo Mia had taken at the award show, made it his profile picture, and started posting constantly in the online fan forums about us. Some eagle-eyed fan used the seating chart from that night to prove the photo could only have been taken from Mia's seat. That opened the floodgates. That dug up everything, all the way back to the story about us accidentally swapping bags. And finally, they reached the inevitable conclusion. I was the guy. Mia and I talked it over and decided to just go public. Our show had just premiered, so the timing was perfect to ride the wave of publicity. Mia couldn't have cared less about the ratings. The only numbers she checked were how many new followers our shipping subreddit gained each day. I asked her once why she fell for me in the first place. She thought for a moment, then said, "Do you believe in love at first sight?"